Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining Juntos with Cathy. This is our weekly show where we meet with business owners, community leaders, people doing interesting things in our community to make it a little bit better every single day. I am Cathy Rodriguez Aguirre, President and CEO for the Sacramento Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. And today is actually the second day for Hispanic Heritage Month. And we thought, what better way to be celebrating this month than to introduce you to some of our small business owners that we have here in our community. And we're going to start today with actually one of my favorites. So I've actually followed this business from when they started at a small shop on K Street. Yeah, it was more on, I was between J and 24th. They moved to a little bit larger location and created this incredible little center of Latino-owned businesses. Then they opened up a second shop in Woodland and then recently opened up a third shop. And so these two people are, husband and wife duo business owners who are really making a difference here in Sacramento, creating a creative place for people to go to buy some really incredible things. I'm going to show you a couple of them. I've got my mug here from Kolores, got my earrings on here, was also from the other third shop. And actually, if we looked around our whole household, you would see that we have multiple items that we've purchased from this place. So I'm going to bring you on right now Nancy and David Garcia, who are owners of these three different shops that are here, as I said, Sacramento, Old Sacramento, and Woodland. Hi, Nancy.
Hello.
Hi, David. How are you?
Hi, Cathy. We're good.
Good. It's so good to see you. I almost wore my t-shirt too. But, I do want to let you know, if you didn't hear, I do have my mug. I have my earrings on right here. And what I really wanted to show everyone was, the tin nopal that I bought that lights up because it's just so cool. And it's one of our favorite pieces here in our household. So I wanted to let you know and let everyone know that, as you already know, I'm a frequent buyer at all your places because I just think everything you buy is so unique and interesting and creative. And whenever I want to get something special for someone, you guys are my go-to place.
Oh, awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I started to say, so I first heard about you. There was a little blurb in the Sacramento Bee, which now feels that it's so much longer than I realized, but I think it was almost 7 years ago because there was a first shop that was still closer to the J Street, in 24th, right there. And you had created this kind of cool, interesting vibe there. And that was where you first were located. Then in this year, you moved over to what now many of us refer to as Placita. Right. It's a little plaza there, and you created this cool space there, opened up a second place in Woodland right before pandemic. And then somewhere through this, you opened up a third spot. But what I'd really like to know is, as I've kind of followed you on the journey and seen how cool it is, what made you both decide one day, you know what, we want to have our own business, and this is the kind of business we want to have?
So we did actually open in Woodland, like you said, right before the pandemic. It was late October, and then pandemic hit in March. So we did have to close our doors, unfortunately. But today we are here from Woodland. So that's where we're sitting right now. As you can see behind us, all the merchandise. Thank you, first of all, for having us, Cathy. We really appreciate you and all the support. But David can kind of tell you the story of why we started or what made us decide to start this type of business.
Yeah, what made you start?
Well, with the business, I was kind of working at the Capitol at the time, there for the Senate. And I was kind of in between, it wasn't really something that I enjoyed being in sales most of my life. That I tried something new and it wasn't really for me. So even while I was there, we had our clothing brand, Keeping It Paisa brand, and I would sell stuff there. People were always interested, so I would take merchandise, sell, and finally we decided, you know what, let's look for a small brick and mortar. Let's open something up. Found a place. Lady didn't want to close the doors. She would only sell us her antique shop or vintage shop. So we ended up buying the little vintage shop and started selling antiques and vintage items. But there we added our merchandise, and then from our customers, we started getting a lot of feedback if we can get imports from Mexico, because we had a little bit of items we would find randomly, vintage items. And then from there, it just kept growing and growing, and people kept asking, and we were able to get it, and we figured out how to get it, and it just kept growing from there. And obviously, us being Mexican American, we love our culture. We love the things from Mexico. So to us, it's something enjoyable. It's fun. It's definitely rewarding. So it's grown from there.
Wow. I forgot to mention that you actually have these multiple businesses. So I don't want to air it, but I want to give just a moment. Keeping it Paisa. So who designed those? I actually should have bought one of those t-shirts because I have multiple of them. But what was behind that brand that actually really led to you having this brick and mortar?
The Keeping It Paisa brand started before any of the stores opened.
Yeah.
It was something started in 2013. The store first opened in 2015. So my business partner from the Sacramento Midtown store, Cuauhtemoc Vargas, him and somebody else had started it. And then they brought me on board to help them because they knew I kind of was in sales and stuff like that. They're like, oh, he can probably help us out. And so they brought me on board. And ever since then, we've kind of grown it quite a bit. Having it in the stores, selling online, doing a lot of pop-up events all over California. So that's how that started. And then from there, that's when we looked for a brick and mortar to sell the Keeping It Paisa brand. But from there, it grew into what it is now,
And so you start this shop, you have this online brand, it expands. So I found that for most entrepreneurs, that there has to be a really good partnership at home. So Nancy, at what point were you always involved in the beginning, or when did you fold in and start to take a role in the business?
When we first started, it was really meant to just be a small shop between Cuauhtemoc and David. And that worked out great for a while. I would do kind of the behind the scenes stuff, all the social media. We did a lot of like vendor pop-up events, and we would take the Keeping It Paisa brand to those events. And so I did all the behind the scenes stuff, the applications and all that good stuff. But then when we decided to open the second shop, I was like, okay, well, we're going to need more hands. Yeah, we have family. That's a huge part of it. Our family, our friends that help us out tremendously. Like without them, we couldn't do it. But then at that point, I was more hands-on. I do have a full-time job. I have a little 9-year-old, and now with 2 additional shops, we keep ourselves very busy. But yeah, we are very hands-on, and it's all just, family and friends that help us out.
When you, and I know that because I've seen Olivia numerous times. I already see that she's gonna be a budding entrepreneur in herself.
Oh yeah.
And she's been, surrounded by this her whole life already. Yeah. But for you guys, with the first store, then you moved, you had the second one where it became Placita. Yeah. And, for many of us, we followed you because, it's your shop, you're having your items there. And then it kind of became this other thing though, because when you go, behind the door there's, several other Latino owned businesses that are there. There is this little Placita, little plaza for those that are listening. And it's become kind of a center point in Midtown, right? There's this additional activity. You guys have these Saturdays where there's other, even more vendors that come in. They're Latino businesses that you're always showcasing and giving them the opportunity to share their goods.
Yeah.
How did that come to be? Because I feel like now when you bring it up, there's so many people that come to it.
Right. That's the amazing part about that location is that we do have that platform to be able to showcase other vendors and support other small businesses. Like you mentioned, second Saturdays, we do host there. So vendors come out, set up, and just kind of display and sell their merchandise, which again, it's, supporting each other, supporting small businesses. They're not all necessarily Latinos, but a lot are Latino-based businesses. But yeah, we all it's a joint effort to kind of get it all together, organize it. And beyond just second Saturdays, we also do try to do other fun things for the community. In the past, pre-COVID, we would do during Christmas, a posada type festivity with mariachi, food, all that good stuff. So we do try to plan more than just the second Saturdays. But again, just to bring some culture to the community, something different. And support each other.
And I love when you say it's all hands-on because I know in the early days when you had those, we'd often see David back there actually doing the churros for us.
Yep. Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yep.
Now we have our churro chica, our niece, Janessa. So
it's always good to have that person, right, that you can bring in David for that next part.
All right. I'm going to take over for a little bit here.
Okay. So great. So here's what happens, David. So, so you've got this, successful business, you're in the midst, you open up a second one in Woodland, which by the way is on the main street, a little, different there, but David, I'm sure You already know it's such a great area, right? When you go into that one, you have more space, there's more inventory, people are excited about it. And then, as we all know, pandemic hits. So what's the first thing that you guys did when you come and strategize, like, we got to come up with a plan here to move forward?
So I think the first thing was, obviously they said close your doors, nobody could come in. We had no idea for how long. Obviously no sales. It's hard to have a website with the type of items that we have because a lot of it is unique, one of a kind, maybe two of a kind. By the time we take photos, upload, they could be sold already in the store, like when the store is regularly open. So Nancy's really good with the social media. My niece Janessa, so they got really creative. We're like, well, you know what? Why don't we do a couple days in the store and do live videos, and we would showcase a bunch of items with prices. You can basically get it shipped or do curbside pickup twice a week. So we would set up 2 days a week. We would come in for about 2 hours and showcase a lot of merchandise. And from there, people would see the videos and send us direct messages. Okay, I want that. We would send Square invoices. They pay, with the invoice, and then just pick it up. We would save these hours to these hours. We'll be here. You can pick up these days. And it worked. I mean, it wasn't close to normal sales, but it was something to keep us going and keep the community knowing that we were still here. So that's kind of what we did. And after doing it in Woodland, we immediately started doing it in Sacramento too. And it worked. It definitely worked.
I would say it worked because I know I was one of the curbside pickups.
All right.
Still purchasing items during that time.
That's good.
So you had that. And then I know when I mentioned, we had a conversation because I was at your Kolores store yesterday with Nancy, and she said, one of the other things though too is your pandemic is you were actually able to increase your customer base by doing this, meaning that you were getting suddenly people from across the United States that were knowing about you and purchasing items. Have you found that to kind of still stay true as we sort of started to open up?
Yeah, I think because we carry a lot of brands from all over California, we have brands from Texas, from Washington. It's mainly Latino-owned brands. Those brands have huge followings. Oh. And what they do is they tag us, hey, look at my candles or my stickers or my items are being sold in Woodland, in Sacramento, or wherever. So now their followers are checking our stuff out. And they see that, oh, well, they ship, even though they live in Washington or Texas or LA or Bay Area, wherever. Say, well, you know what? Let's order some stuff, direct messages and a lot of shipping. Yeah, so it's been really good. I mean, obviously we have our followers, but it's great to have the followers of all the other brands that we carry that they also support. And then, it goes both ways. So our followers will start following some of those brands too, and they can order directly from some of them as well. So that's kind of how it's grown, and it's awesome just to be able to support everybody that's, I say local, but now it's all over the place, really, which is great.
I was going to say you really developed like an extended community.
Yeah. It's fun when we go to pop-ups. I mean, we haven't done any in a long time. So like second Saturday is still kind of a pop-up, which is cool. So there's brands that come from Modesto, Bay Area, a lot of locals, and it's fun to meet with them and just talk and see how they're doing and what type of events they're still doing with the pandemic. So yeah, it's nice.
What have you heard from them? Like when you meet up with the other businesses, like what's the top thing you guys kind of discuss, especially as we're still trying to move towards recovery?
The crowds, like it's not the same, you don't get those thousands of crowds of people in like when we used to do events, we had our tables, our tent, and we had crowds of people like looking at our shirts, our merchandise, our imports, and that's what the same thing with them, and now it's more selective, like there's not as many people out, so you almost have to engage with everybody and be like, hey, how are you doing, come check out our stuff, or have you ever seen this or seen that, and you have to work for it a little bit more, which isn't bad, but before it was like they open the door type of thing, and they flood in, and you have customers most of the day at these big events. So that's the main thing. So I think the amount of people going out has really gone down. So that's something that hopefully with time will start coming back up.
Yeah, I think we're all hopeful of that too. But it's good to know that you have that time to develop those personal relationships, which to the customers is coming in. Because I think a lot of us, we like to support when we know the story. Right. And so getting to know small business owners like yourself, it helps.
because a lot of the business that we talk to, that we carry their brands, a lot of these they're doing this as their job. A lot of them, most of them don't have a brick and mortar. It's all online sales, so they depend on people like us that do have a store that are continuously ordering from them on a monthly basis or every couple months or weekly, depending on how much their items sell. So we're always looking for new things to sell in the store, that I think the community would like, and also to support other small businesses.
So David, as I said, so you managed through this part, you found a way to kind of pivot during pandemic, your sales are still going. And as much as I followed you and I know like how well you guys plan things out, even I was surprised that you decided to open a third location.
Yeah.
During this part of it. So what was the thought there?
We took a little trip out to San Diego with our family, my daughter, my wife, Nancy, and then my brothers. And we went out there and we were just like seeing different stuff. And we're like, you know what? Like we actually had thought of opening one in Old Sacramento about a year ago. Mm-hmm. But I'm like, no, this is like in the middle of the whole pandemic. And it's like, no, this is not the right time. So we just left it alone. And then we went back we actually were like in Tijuana. We went to Ensenada with the family and just stuff. And we kind of saw stuff. We went to San Diego, we saw stuff. And we're like, we know a lot of contacts for this stuff. So it's like, why not maybe try it? So we started looking around and we're like, well, do we do it? Do we not do it? And it's like, I guess right now, because there was a lot of vacant places due to the pandemic and maybe a little bit better negotiation power on our end, we're like, you know what? All right, let's do it. So we decided to do it right around March. It was very fast. Yeah. And then literally by the end of March, us three, Nancy, myself, and Livy, traveled to Guanajuato. We went to San Miguel de Allende and Dolores Hidalgo, and that's where we bought most of our merchandise. So we made all the connections with the vendors, actual artesanos that make the products. And we put some big orders in. And so we came back, started painting, getting it ready. And we had an empty shell there, and our merchandise kept being delayed. And we ended up opening a little later than we wanted to because our stuff got delayed for about 2 weeks. But that's kind of, honestly, I've always been kind of like a risk taker, I guess you would say. Mm-hmm. And I know we can do it if we really put everything into it. I know we can make it work. And that's kind of how I've been in life with a lot of things. I kind of take that leap forward, and I'd rather know what it is. If we have to close, hey, we have to close. But that's not in my mentality. And even Nancy's, we know if we put the effort, it'll work. Like I say, don't half-ass it. Just do it 100%, right? So.
Well, I will say this, all the shops, have a special, a specialness to them that's a little unique, even from each other.
Yeah.
And Kolores definitely, like I said, I was just in there yesterday, and it's almost magical, to be honest. Like, I don't know what it is about the vibe there, or the items that you've placed in there, but it's, it's beautiful. And
I appreciate that, because with that one, we wanted to make it different. It wasn't, that's why the name's different. We wanted to focus more on, so it only overlaps with the Kulture store. Maybe about 15% of the items will overlap, but the rest is all stuff you're only going to find there and not at the other stores. And that was the point. Bring in some, I'm not going to say higher end items, but there is some stuff that's higher end, a little bit more unique, more hand picked, hand selected. And that's what we're going to continue to do, bring something different that nobody else has in the area.
And I think you're achieving that so well, David. So let me ask you, believe it or not, this time always goes much faster than I want it to, but I do want to ask a couple of other questions for other entrepreneurs that are doing this, right? You have a good partner, you've had time in this now, right? As you said, when you started, I'm like, well, I guess it has been at least, 7 years and watching this progression. Yeah. So along the way, is there any place you turn to help you like put a business plan together or to figure things out? Like, what are some of the resources you've used to make sure that you're growing and developing in a way that, makes sense for you and your family?
You know what? It's been, it's weird because when we opened the first store, there was no business plan.
Yeah.
It was just like, let's just go for it, right? And we started making it work. We moved into the placita and continued with the new one in Woodland almost 2 years ago. It was more like, well, we know what we need to do, where to get all our merchandise, is whether we can get people to help us work it. Can we work it into our schedules, having a child and Nancy having her full-time job. And we're like, I think we can make it work. Let's just do it. No business plan. It was just because we already know what we needed to get, the type of merchandise and things we needed, like furniture and stuff to fill it, to display stuff is all. I mean, you go to secondhand stores, you go on OfferUp, you find some stuff you buy new, but most of it is used stuff. And, you just got to hustle and look. With Kolores, same thing. So I think we've been lucky that we haven't had a business plan. Like, not that we haven't had one, but we haven't needed it, which I'm not against it. I mean, I would have loved to have something written down. Hey, this is exactly. The only thing I could say it was more of the financial part of it. Well, we're going to need about this much money to be able to get merchandise and fill the store and have a little bit of extra for rent and, for the rainy day type of things. If sales aren't busy or not as good opening, we need some extra reserves and things like that. So that type of stuff, yes, we definitely put down on paper. But other than that, that was it. It's just take the risk. And like I always say, like, what's the worst thing that happens? You close your doors and at least you say you tried, and I just don't want to live my life thinking, man, I wish I would have done this, or wish I would have tried this or opened that. But that's kind of how we've been. And luckily, thank God, it's worked out so far.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. Although, it's running a chamber, I'm going to encourage you to actually put something down.
We'll go over there and have some cafecito.
Yeah. Yeah, to do all of that. But, you definitely have, I know there's a lot of heart and grit and determination, that goes, into all the work that you're doing there. And so, I started all of this and wanted to, start with you guys because we did kick off Hispanic Heritage Month yesterday. And everyone is going to hear me say this month that for those of us that are Latino, Latina, Latinx, however you prefer to refer to yourself, it's a year-round celebration for us. Like, I think that we're part of the fabric, and it's more than a month. But since we get this extra special time to showcase, for you as Latino-owned business, and you're really making paving a path for others to see, what's one piece of advice you'd like to give? I know you said don't be afraid to take a risk, put yourself all in it, but let's go back 7 years ago when you're like, okay, I'm going to start this. Is there one thing that you would have told yourself then that you've discovered now?
I don't know. Maybe the business plan would have been nice. Honestly,
good answer. No, yes,
because it would have, I think, funneled everything a little bit more. I feel like we were like a tree with branches everywhere, kind of trying different things, and some things wouldn't work, and then other things would or kind of work. And so a business plan would have been good. But I didn't really know about it because I obviously never had a business. I've been in sales, but it was a corporate, right? So they're the ones with the business plan, and we're part of their business. So, but yeah, I never knew, okay, well, let's do this, that, and connect all the dots, or A, B, C, D, whatever. But I didn't know that. I just took that leap. And what really, I guess one of the things that really motivated me is, like, you go to, I don't know, say down Franklin or Northgate, and I see older Mexicanos that remind me of my parents, sometimes even my grandparents, and they have a business. And I always would say, man, they're doing it. Why can't I do it? Like, why wouldn't I be able to do it? And that was always something that stuck with me. And it was not just Mexicanos, but sometimes you go into like these little Asian markets, and they're like, man, they're doing it and they're doing great. Like, why can't we do it? I have all the energy and the mind to just do it, and the will. And that's kind of why I've taken the risk too, and being like, what, let's go for it. And they're awesome. I commend them for doing what they do, whether it's their own little store or restaurant or whatever it is. But, we can all do it as long as you put the effort in, and you like what you do. That's, I think, one of the biggest things. You have to enjoy what you do. And I really enjoy it. Like, I enjoy shopping for the products, traveling to Mexico. And Livy went with us. She's gone numerous. I mean, she loves it now. And we have her over there. Okay, they tell us, all right, how much is this item? 500 pesos. And Livy's got my calculator and dividing them by how much the dollar is. Okay, papi, it's this much dollars. I'm like, all right, that's a good deal. And like, she already knows how to do all that. And it's like pretty cool, for her to be 9 and know what's going on with the translation of the dollar and if it's a good deal or not. Yeah. So
that's great.
Some of it. Yeah.
Like I said, I think she's your budding entrepreneur. That's, I can't wait to see what she's going to do. And I think that's, it's good to see like these journeys. I think exactly what you said is I am inspired by all of you when I see the work that's been done and sacrifices made and that the successes too, that you have. It's just wonderful to get to be a little part of this journey and see what you're going to do. What I want to do though is make sure everyone knows where all the stores are at. Okay. So how about we start with the first one? So Kulture Midtown is where?
Is at 2331 K Street, around the corner of 24th and K, and La Placita. That's the whole building is known as La Placita MX.
And when am I open?
That one? Oh, open.
Yes.
It's Tuesday through Saturday, 11 to 7, Sundays 10 to 4, and all 3 stores are closed Mondays. And then Woodland, it's 526 Main Street, and we're open Tuesday through Thursday, 12 to 6, and then Friday, Saturday, 11 to 7, and Sunday, 10 to 4, just like Sacramento. And then the newest one, Kolores in Old Sacramento, is 108 L Street in Old Sacramento, and that one's open Tuesday through Thursday, 12 to 7. And then on Fridays and Saturdays, 11 to 7, and Sundays, 11 to 5. So it's a little bit different hours, but I got to memorize.
I know you did really well. Yeah. I'm going to add a little bit part to where Kolores is at too. So for everyone, it's on the same side as where the Joe's Crab Shack and the parking garage is at.
Yeah, the parking garage. Candy Heaven is really known on that corner there. Perfect. We're right next to them. Yeah.
Great. Just want to give people a little bit more of a map there, so they can come find you directly. Well, okay. David and Nancy, who I know is actually busy working in the store, right, they're on this side right now. Yeah. But I want to thank you for joining us today, sharing a little bit about your journey and sharing about the stores. I think that the work that you guys are doing, and actually just the contributions that you're making in each of these areas is big. You said you had vitality, creativity, and bringing a little part of Mexico. Yeah. To all these places is something that I think we all really want to celebrate. So for everyone that's watched today, go. You have 3 locations to choose from to go support. I'm encouraging you to support, as I said, year round, but especially this month for those that are taking extra time in Hispanic Heritage Month, definitely go down. You'll find something special in each one. So David, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you for having us and for supporting us from day one. I remember you and your husband were there shopping and visiting and hanging out with us for second Saturdays and always being around. So it's awesome. Appreciate you guys. Really do.
Oh, thank you. Well, like I said, you're some of our favorite people. And so we become what I call fan businesses, right? We follow this journey and go
through. We become more than just customers, I think. So
thank you so much, David. I appreciate it. Well, thank you so much. Let's hope this month is drives extra traffic into the shops.
I hope so. Yeah, that would be awesome.
And so we'll see you soon. Okay. For everyone that was, with us today. This is, we are here again next Thursday. Every Thursday, we're here with Juntos with Cathy, talk a little bit about what's going on in Sacramento. We will be having another business here next week. We really want to get you to know them and find out how you can support them, especially during Hispanic Heritage Month. And little tidbit, today is actually Mexican Independence Day. And this is, Cinco de Mayo, not Mexican Independence Day. It is today. And Hispanic Heritage Month is actually from September 15th through October 15th. And it's during this kind of 2-month period because there are actually several countries, Latin American countries, that celebrate their Independence Days during this time. So thank you again for joining us. We will see you next week. And, go out and support your small businesses. If you make it to Old Sac, they have these really great mugs here, Kolores, but you're bound to find something special no matter which of the shops you go to. Thank you and have a great day.